Trailing stop. Trailing stop is a feature that automatically moves a position's stop loss following the price. The stop loss moves only in the direction of the position's profit and stops if the price reverses. The app saves and applies trailing stop settings for each order separately, allowing you to simultaneously set different types of trailing stops for orders. Enable trailing stops for only some orders. Edit the trailing stop for an individual order without affecting the trailing stop settings of other orders. To turn on the trailing stop for each new order or position, open the Trailing Stop panel and enter the necessary settings. Keep in mind that the settings in this panel only apply to new orders at the moment they are opened. Changes in this panel do not affect existing orders and positions. If you want to apply these settings to existing orders and positions, do the following. Select the orders and positions you want to apply the settings to, and click the Apply button. If you need to change the settings for a specific order or position, go to the Order Management panel and edit the settings on the Trailing Stop tab. The app can work with all terminal symbols at once, and if you use different trailing stop settings for each symbol, you can enable multi-currency mode, which will allow you to save settings for each symbol separately. To enable this mode, go to the Trailing Stop tab in the settings and check the Multi-currency mode box. When multi-currency mode is enabled, an additional checkbox labeled Only For will appear on the panel. Use this checkbox if you want to apply the current trailing stop setting only to the current symbol. When choosing a unit of measurement in % of take profit or stop loss, you should take into account that the distance will be calculated from the current stop loss or take profit price. Accordingly, if you or any function changes the stop loss or take profit of an open order, the calculated levels will also change. To avoid this, you can enable the Convert Price, % of take profit, and % of stop loss to points mode in the settings. For example, the distance in the trailing stop function has a unit of % of stop loss. And if the conversion option is enabled, the app will automatically convert values expressed in percentages to points at the moment the order is opened and assigned a trailing stop function. This way, the new order will be assigned a trailing stop function with distance expressed in points, ensuring that the trailing stop function is independent of the order's stop loss price. The app supports 7 types of trailing stop. Classic trailing stop. The stop loss follows the market price at a set distance. To set it up, specify the distance at which the stop loss will follow the current price. The minimum step of the trailing stop. More details about this parameter are shown later in the video. Trailing stop fractal. The stop loss moves along the peaks of fractals. A fractal is a pattern made up of 3 or more candles, where the middle candle is the highest or lowest point of the pattern. To set it up, specify the chart timeframe for searching fractals, the number of candles in the fractal, the stop loss offset relative to the fractal. More details about this parameter are shown later in the video. The minimum step of the trailing stop, the spread size for the symbol. This trailing stop uses a chart based on the bid price. Since sell orders are closed at the ask price, you can specify the spread size so that the function shifts the calculated stop-loss level by the spread for sell orders. This parameter is only applicable if the symbol has a fixed spread. If the symbol has a floating spread, set this parameter to 0. Trailing stop MA. The stop-loss moves along the moving average indicator line. To set it up, specify the indicator's timeframe, the indicator's parameters, the candle number from which the app will take indicator data to calculate the trailing stop. More details about this parameter are shown later in the video. The stop-loss offset relative to the indicator line, the minimum step of the trailing stop, the spread size on the symbol. Trailing stop ATR. This trailing stop works like a classic trailing stop, but in this type, the distance is based on the average true range indicator value. To set it up, specify the indicator's timeframe, the indicator's parameters, a coefficient to increase or decrease the distance. For example, if you set it to 2, the trailing stop distance will be twice the ATR value. The candle number from which the app will take the indicator data to calculate the trailing stop. The minimum step for the trailing stop, the price from which the distance will be measured. If enabled, the distance will be measured from the low price for buy orders and from the high price for sell orders. If disabled, the distance will be measured from the bid price for buy orders and from the ask price for sell orders. Trailing stop Parabolic SAR. The stop loss moves along the Parabolic SAR indicator. To set it up, specify the indicator's timeframe, the indicator's parameters, the candle number from which the app will get indicator data to calculate the trailing stop. Stop loss offset relative to the indicator line. Minimum step of the trailing stop. Spread size on the symbol. Trailing stop candle Wicks. The stop loss moves based on the candle lows for long positions and the candle highs for short positions. To set it up, specify the chart timeframe to look for candles, the number of candles from which the app will pick the lowest or highest value for setting the stop loss. The stop loss offset relative to the candle, The minimum step of the trailing stop. The spread size on the symbol. Trailing stop trend scanner. The stop loss moves along the trend scanner indicator line. To set it up, specify the indicator's timeframe, the indicator's parameters, the candle number from which the app will pull indicator data to calculate the trailing stop, the stop loss offset from the indicator line, the minimum trailing stop step, the spread size on the symbol. Uncheck only in profit direction if you want the stop loss to follow the indicator line in both profit and loss directions. Parameter step. The stop loss will only be moved to the next price if the next price is at least the specified step away from the current stop loss price. This parameter is used to reduce the number of position modifications. Parameter shift in bars. The candle number whose data will be used to calculate the stop loss level. Candle numbering starts at 0 and goes from right to left. Parameter indent. The stop loss offset relative to the calculated trailing stop price. Parameter start in points. This is the distance from the order's opening price to the start level of the function. The trailing stop activates when the current price reaches this level. Checkbox measure from stop loss. This parameter sets the conditions for activating the trailing stop. If this parameter is off, the trailing stop will be activated when the current price reaches the start level. If this parameter is on, the trailing stop will be activated when the calculated trailing stop price reaches the start level. In other words, the stop loss will start moving from the start level. The distance can be set in points, as a percentage of the take profit level, as a percentage of the stop loss level, or in price. When choosing the measurement unit percentage of take profit or stop loss, keep in mind that the distance will be calculated from the current position of the stop loss and take profit. So, if you or any function change the stop loss or take profit of an open order, the calculated levels will also change.